chances are you have listed out all your desires and everything, and you looked at it and you're like, this is a tall order. And then your second thought is, how am I going to get all of this done? So I developed this strategy, this spreadsheet I'm going to share with you for narrowing down your passions to figure out which ones or two you are going to work on first. It is a game changer. I'm going to show you how this spreadsheet works, and I'm actually going to share it with you. So it's down below. You already know it's down below, but I need to show you how it works first. You might be able to figure it out, but just sit tight. Let me show you how it works. The passion priority matrix. Now, after you done came up with your goals, you now have just a bunch of words. It may help you to feel clearer, but you're not there yet. The good thing is you probably feel clearer, you have some clarity, but the bad news is you might be overwhelmed. You look up and you're like, how can I do all of these things? And it's like, I just don't have time. This is what the problem is. This is why I set these wild goals, and you think this is why I don't achieve them, because I want to do this. I want to be a social media influencer. Then I want to be a fashion person, and I want to invest in real estate, and I want to own a trucking business. Like all of the things, and you're just like really overwhelmed. I know it happens to the smartest of us. Let me tell you what the problem is. The problem is when we was in school and they said you can do anything you want to do, we believed them. We believe them, okay? But the reality is we just have to be a little more strategic about this. You can do anything, you just got to be a little more strategic. So usually when I do this exercise, it's usually anywhere from 4 to 6 things that a multi-talented person really wants to do. This is going to help you narrow down what you should focus on first. So let's come right over to the spreadsheet. First thing you're going to notice is business idea 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You're going to go ahead and write down your ideas. Transaction. And then the next one, let's say you want to be a real estate investor. And let's say the next one, you're like, I really want to start my own marketing consulting firm. And then the next one, you want to be a social media influencer. There's good money in that. And the last one is you want to get into your family business. You're like, hey, I feel this obligation. My family owns a pizza shop and my dad really wants me to get into it. All right, that's the first thing. So everything in the yellow is what you're going to fill in. So you got your passions here. The next thing is you're going to need to come over across the top here to think about these 3 areas. Now, these 3 areas, current talent / your passion, resources, and low-hanging fruit income. These are the 3 areas that I find that are most important in deciding what we end up doing. These are the 3 things that we think that we use to decide whether we're going to follow through with something or not, if we're really intentional about it. Current talent / passion. These may seem like 2 different things, but a lot of times if someone has a talent for something, they usually have a passion for it, and vice versa. Sometimes you may have a passion for something, but you don't have a talent for it. You may say, hey, I want to do day trading. I have a friend who just started day trading. I still put this in the same category because in the grand scheme of things, it's something you want to do and something that's very easy for you. That's really the question that we're trying to get at, is what does your heart really want to do? The next area is resources. This will determine whether you can do it or not. And that's time, people, or money. Do you have resources for the thing? Then the next area is how low hanging is the fruit or the income? Hey, if I do this tomorrow, can I make money that same day? If I start tomorrow, I'm not going to make money for a year. I'm not going to make money for 6 months. How low hanging is the fruit or income? So these are the factors that go into deciding whether we do passion or not. You need to decide how important each of these things are to you based on a 100%, think like a pie chart. How important each of these things are to you right now, each of these areas. So let's say, for instance, you're in a situation where hey, I need to figure out how to make money tomorrow. Low hanging fruit might be 90%. If you feel like you're a very resourceful person, this might be 9%. And then my current talent, that's not even important to me right now. And that's 1%. Okay. So that all totals out to be 100. If you're saying to yourself, hey, I'm a very passionate person, that's me. I'm a very passionate person. I play chicken with the Mack truck. I need to be able to do what I feel like is my purpose and my passion. If I can't, everybody's going to be unhappy. Everybody. Okay. So for me, this is very high. This is probably like 80%. Resources, how important having the resources to be able to do a thing is. Now, you may be thinking like, that should always be high. No, some people are like, I will run through a brick wall. It doesn't even matter. I know I'm going to figure it out. That's me. So that means the resources, whether you have it or not, is relatively low. Like that is a less deciding factor. Like for instance, I decided that I want to start a media company and make Hollywood movies. I have no idea how I'm going to find the resources, time, people, all the things. But every day I remind myself that that is the main thing. That is what I want to do. And I'm going to figure it out. So resources don't really play an important factor in this for me. So resources is going to be, let's say for someone like me, resources is like 5%. So then that leaves over 15%. How low hanging is the fruit? Income. How important is that to you? You might need money tomorrow, but your faith may be like out there and you're like, that's not important to me. I know that one thing I know about myself, when I set my mind to something, because I know it's a part of my purpose and I know I can physically do it, I know the money's going to show up. I'm not tripping. And it'll show up tomorrow. It'll be like Jesus. Hey, go get a coin out of the fish mouth. And that's when they did. Okay? That's just how I roll. So you're going to fill this out based on you. I've seen ranges. So I want you to know that this example that I'm giving right now, 85-15, this example is nothing compared to what I've seen. Everybody's is different every time I do this. Then you're going to start going across here and giving every single solitary hustle for each of the 3 areas, passion projects, I should say. You're going to start giving them a score of 1 to 10. So let's say, for instance, transaction coordinator. I'm just remembering what she said her passion for it on a scale of 1 to 10 was a number 2. Her resources for it, it's a 10 because you don't need a whole lot of resources and she had the time and it didn't take a whole lot of time. So on a scale of 1 to 10, it's a 10. Then the low hanging fruit for this was a 10 because she knows if she does a job today, she can get paid in 15, 30 days. So for her, that's a 10 in her mind. Or maybe it was like an 8. Let's say it was an 8. Okay. All right. Let's make up some other numbers. Now we can see on the spreadsheet, we're going to look for, I would say it depends on who you are, but for an average person, I'm including myself average. If I am doing something brand new or I'm starting something up, I can't do more than 2 things at a time. In order to like really focus, I really like to do 1 thing at a time, but sometimes you got to do 2, right? So you don't go insane. I say pick 1 for fun, like that you really, really, really want to do. The passion is high for it. And then 1 that makes the most sense. In this instance, based on this person's allocation of the things that are important to them, in this instance, marketing consultant is the best option. Remember, low hanging fruit income is not that important. The other one that came really ranking high was real estate investor. So those are the 2 things you go for. Everything else just has to wait for a little while. And that's okay. You just might not be able to do it right now. Maybe next year, some scheduling may open up. Now, here's the other thing that's really important to note. This greatly changes if you change these numbers across the top. If you decide that your current everything changes, somebody got to have surgery, you need to come up with some money or something. My current talent, passion for it, that done dropped down to 5%. Low hanging fruit income, that's up to 50%. And maybe resources now is at 45. So things looking mighty different. Your best option now is going to be the pizza shop. Next best option is the transaction coordinator. I would suggest that you do pizza shop, and then if you're super passionate, pizza shop and a marketing consultant, because you're really passionate about it, and that could be something you work on in the background. It's no fun if you got to do 2 things that you don't like. 2 things you don't like, that ain't fun. What we are trying to do right now is we're trying to find the intersection between what type of byproduct, we'll get to the byproduct, what that means in a minute, what byproduct you want and the way that you want to actually do it. We need to find the intersection of these 2 things. The thing that you really, really want as a result What do you want to walk away with? And where does these projects, where do they intersect? Then you can start crafting some strategies to allow you to pursue a bigger goal where your byproduct, the money, the women, the cars, the clothes, the shoes, all of that, you can't make the money, the cars, that can't be the goal. So like for instance, if you decide, hey, I want to be a transaction coordinator. Transaction coordinators don't make a whole lot of money, but I want to live in a multi-million-dollar mansion one day. And I've seen people do this where they set up a business, but they want some big financial goal and they don't come up with a bridge to really get there, or they're not realistic about the way that they're doing their business to get to this goal. What this says to me is you don't really care about this goal. One of the other that you don't care about, and this is where we talk about misalignment. You're doing this business in this way that's going to get you mediocre money, and you're not trying to think bigger. You're not trying to change how you do things, and you're expecting something magical to happen for you to have this big money, and it just ain't it at all. Now we're at step 3. Now we know what emotions we're after, we know what byproduct we want to get, and we know what vehicle we're going to use. Now here comes the good stuff. This is how you set your goal. This last part is game changing. All right, I have a statement that I want to read off, and it's going to be a little bit confusing. I promise you it's going to make sense in a second. Now we're going to set our goals. Set goals that will get you to those emotions that you originally said, using the initiatives that we decided in the passion priority matrix, so that the design is a byproduct of the goal. Okay, here is the requirements. This is the really simple thing to do. You need to decide that you want to be either the best, the fastest, or the cheapest in that particular initiative. It doesn't have to be in the world. It can be in a region. So let's say, for instance, you chose to do transaction coordinator and you're trying to have a byproduct be a certain financial goal, right? In order to do that, in order to really make yourself stand out, you need to have a goal of saying, I'm going to be the fastest transaction coordinator in the tri-state area. Or I'm going to be the best, highest quality transaction coordinator in all of California. You may be thinking, I don't know, that sounds weird. I'm going to give you a bunch of examples. One thing I noticed not too long ago was that Simone Biles, when they had the Olympic trials, she scored off the charts, right? She's the best gymnast in the world. And when they had the Olympic trials, I saw a couple of her performances and the scores, and she messed up on a couple of them that she got the highest number. Do you know why she got the highest number? The thing that makes her different is that she chooses difficult routines. That's the thing. So she says, I'm going to pick the most difficult routines. I'm going to do the most difficult routines. In order for me to be the best, because that's her goal, I want to be the best gymnast. That's what sends her scores off the charts. I'll give you another example. Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick Lamar right now, everyone is like, oh, this is so exciting. He bested Drake. Not like us, okay? He bested Drake. He didn't wake up and say, my goal is to best Drake. If you look at his history of his career, he said over and over and over again, I want to be the best rapper in the world. Then it became an objective. In order for me to be the best rapper in the world, what do I need to do? I need to beat the best. And then him besting Drake was a byproduct, okay? I'll give you another example. Elon Musk, one of the richest people in the world. Sure, I'm sure he wanted to make a whole bunch of money, but that's not how he did it. He didn't say, I want to make a whole bunch of money. I want to make a whole bunch of money. I want to make a whole bunch of money. What he said was, I want to be the best electric car producer in the world. I want to be the first to go to Mars. The money is a byproduct of him actually being serious about being the best. See, here's the thing about being the best. No one wants to go there. No one wants to do it. It is a road less traveled. If he wanted to be a regular car maker, he's got a lot of competition. But it's like, hey, I just want to do electric cars. There's probably only seriously maybe 5 companies in the world that's really serious about this. I don't know. It's not a lot. Okay. Next example. David. We all know David as the number 2 king in the Bible. Don't nobody get mentioned about their king being a king other than Jesus. David. Guess what he was? The best fighter. Also, he was the best praiser. We all know after he came back from war, Saul got mad because they was like, David killed 100,000. Saul killed 10,000. He was mad that this is the song they were singing in the streets. As a result, he became the king. Okay, I'll give you one more example. Jesus. Jesus said, I'm going to do something that no one done before. I'm going to cheat death. The byproduct is he's the King of Kings. What can you be the best at that is in line with the thing that you are trying to achieve?